Welcome to episode 22 of the Slouching towards Thatcham Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Tim. Every week I chat with a fellow parent blogger and we each read one of our favourite posts, bringing you bite-sized chunks of blogging brilliance in audio form. It's like the CBeebies bedtime story, but for parents. This week I'm delighted to be joined by Amie, who writes the blog Finding Our Feet. Good evening, Amie.
Hello.
So to start with, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
So I'm 27 on Friday, but I'm mum to a nearly 2-year-old who I call Little Miss on the blog, and my partner and I have been together about 7 years, but we fell pregnant unexpectedly nearly 3 years ago now, and so that's kind of where the blog started, was charting that unexpected experience, and now it charts more of our slightly unusual family setup in that we're slightly younger parents than the average. My brother and sister-in-law, for example, are 11 and 8 years old, and we have 4 great-grandparents around the country, and we're quite far-flung, so my dad's in the Middle East. So yeah, we're quite an unusual family setup, and the blog charts all of that through me and my writing and my photography and my partner's photography as well. He's actually the one who showed me how to use the camera properly, which was handy.
Cool. So today you're going to be reading a post that describes your status as not a stay-at-home mum or a working mum, but something altogether different. So can you just give us a little bit of background to that post?
It's about my personal experience of being made redundant, but also looking at the wider issues of that, because I've spoken to so many women in particular since becoming mums, but I'm sure there are some dads out there who've been affected of similar things, especially with shared paternity leave now. It's about looking at the wider issues surrounding that and starting to try and raise awareness of the issue.
Okay, so in that case, let's crack on and I'll hand it over to you to read your post. So this is Amie reading The Unemployed Mum.
Great, thank you. The Unemployed Mum. Hi, I'm Amie, I'm 26, I'm a marketing professional, and I'm an unemployed mum. Not a stay-at-home mum, not a working mum, an unemployed mum. For the past 20 months on the blog, I have delicately danced around my experience of job hunting while on maternity leave, and then extended maternity leave, and then while looking after Little Miss full-time, and now, let's just admit it, shall we? I'm unemployed, and I happen to be a mum too. Recently, a friend, another unemployed mum, suggested I should write about my unemployment saga, for that's exactly what it is. I explained that I have refrained from being too explicit as I include finding our feet on my CV and am nervous of scaring away potential employers. What if they consider this an attack, or take it the wrong way, or worse, consider me unemployable because of something I say? But since going on mat leave, I have spoken to countless women who have been made redundant, forced to resign, unable to find work, you name it, after becoming a mum. Well, enough's enough. My saga begins on Monday, January 20th, 2014. The other half and I's 5-year anniversary and the start to my final week at work before mat leave. I was a contractor at a large popular UK brand. My agreement was up for renewal for a third 12-month stint while I would be on leave. HR asked me for a meeting first thing. Truth be told, as soon as I saw the email, I knew what they were going to say. HR gave me the choice. End my contract now, quote, so you don't have to worry when the baby is here, or wait until June when my contract was due to finish to go through the process then. Either way, the message was clear. They weren't renewing my contract. My lawyer said if I wanted to fight, I would have a good case, but I had to be prepared for them to back down and keep my role open for me, which in reality wasn't practical. I commuted nearly 2 hours to and from work each day. The OH and I had already been wondering how we would manage it with a nursery run in the mix as we commuted in opposite directions out of London. Whether they were simply making a kind gesture as I had worked there for over a year, or were aware of the grey area we found ourselves in, I'll never know. But my employer bumped me up to the permanent employees maternity benefits package as part of my redundancy agreement. In some ways, I was lucky. Redundancy meant I could take a year off with Little Miss, something we had wanted previously but couldn't afford. So I took the money and I left quietly. 5 weeks later, Little Miss was born. I spent the next 6 months in the baby bubble until August when an opportunity came up with a parenting app startup in London. I came on board as a marketing consultant in return for share options, which at the time was fine because at that point it was more about keeping my CV ticking over and my brain active between laundry loads and nursery rhymes. It was around November when we started discussing my return to work for real. By March 2015, I was attending interviews fortnightly, and by June, I was attending one a week, sometimes even two, calling in any and every favour possible to look after little miss in the meantime. I was trained at a successful UK brand. I've kept active during my maternity leave with both the blog and in the end consulting 3 small businesses on their marketing strategy. For every interview, I research the company, their past campaigns, their competitors, their products, their opportunities. I ensure I can speak about my own experience confidently and passionately in relation to the criteria they're looking for. In short, I work damn hard. And as a result, I've gotten through to the final round of over half the interviews I've had. But none seem willing to take a risk on the woman who's been out of the workplace for a year, or 14 months, then 18 months, and now 20 months. I've had interviewers ask me outright how I feel about returning to work after having a baby, if I mind working late now I have a family, have my priorities changed now I'm a mum. I've applied for roles to be told I don't have enough experience or that another applicant has more fitting experience. I've also applied for jobs below my level of expertise to be told I'm overqualified or wouldn't be satisfied with the role. Perhaps I just have really bad luck, but it seems there's always a reason to say no. And while there is a chance that it is my experience that's the issue, after nearly a year of job hunting, interviewing and rejections, I'm starting to find it hard to believe that's all it is. And so I continue trawling Guardian Jobs, 2to3days.com, LinkedIn, speaking to recruiters about any new opportunities and reaching out to contacts I have around the industry. In May, I sold my car, giving us a cash influx to see us through the next 6 months. In July, I finally scored some steady freelance work. A friend passed my CV along and a mum is exactly who they were looking for. I managed the social media profiles of 3 early life nutrition brands, i.e. formula and baby food. But the work was quite dry, responding to parents' complaints and comments, finding 100 ways to say, "He's such a cutie!" Not only that, but the hours were hardly sociable. 4 p.m. till midnight any night of the week, or 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. on a weekend. After 3 months, I sadly gave my notice. As a family, weekends are precious, and evenings are mine and the OH's time to catch up, even if only with the oh-so-romantic household jobs. Unfortunately, the pay just wasn't high enough to compensate the antisocial hours. I was then offered a role at a children's wear website. I was extremely excited. I was offered a fair salary and 4 days per week. It all seemed too good to be true. Only it was. Because then the offer changed. And then it changed again. We finally compromised at a 25% reduction in my salary, 4 days per week in the office, and 1 day per week working flexi hours with a 6-month probation period when I would be on 1 week's notice. I had a bad feeling after the negotiations, but once I was actually in the office, certain things came to light which made me uncomfortable, not least the employer wanted me to sign a waiver stating I was happy to work over 48 hours a week. We lasted 5 days. But we won't dwell. I'm sure some readers will say, "More fool you! You had a job, twice no less, and you gave it up, so stop complaining." And perhaps they're right. But in nearly a year of job hunting, the 2 offers I've had would not be deemed acceptable by most working professionals for their own reasons. And yet because I find myself an unemployed mum, I feel forced to accept a below-par offer. Parenthood comes with sacrifices. We all know that. But I understood that to mean I couldn't go out drinking after work anymore, or lie in on a Saturday, or even wear the same clothes 2 days in a row. There are various schemes cropping up to help parents, mums in particular, back into the workplace. Digital Mums, 2to3days.com and workingmums.co.uk are all great and I respect what they're doing. But why should we be marginalised in the employment market as a mum? Have my priorities changed now I'm a mum? Yes. And would it be preferable any future line manager keep in mind I have a nursery run to share and manage between my partner and myself? Yes. But this is no different to the changes the OH has experienced since becoming a dad. And he does feel the pressure of that, But no one has questioned his loyalty to the company or his role as a result. No one sees him any differently. So why does the working world view me differently? My story thus far has no happy ending. I am writing this blog post in between an online interview where you speak to a webcam, your video answers are recorded and sent off for analysis, and writing cover letters for more applications. Something will come up. That's what everyone says. And by the laws of probability, I suppose it will. But will it include a salary that will keep us in the black? Will it be below my level of expertise? Will I have to work twice as hard to prove my worth in the role because sometimes my kid gets sick and I have to work from home or worse, even take the day off? I truly hope not. Because I am intelligent. I am good at what I do. I'm bloody organised. I want to work. And I have a lot to offer an employer. All I need is for someone to give me a chance.
Thanks, Amie. It's such a shame that more employers can't adopt a more flexible approach for mums. I mean, whether returning full-time or part-time, in my experience, working mums not only bring their existing skills back into the workplace, but they're often more focused and productive than many of their colleagues. And I think if there's one thing being a mum teaches you, it's how to manage your time effectively, isn't it?
I hear that a lot, actually. I don't know if I agree, actually, which is a bit risque of me to say, but certainly I think it makes you more focused, and it's certainly able to do a lot more on a lot less sleep. But I think I'm lucky that I was very good at managing my time and I was very organised before I had kids anyway. So perhaps it does for some people, but of course everyone's different.
Yeah, and then what you say about coping with less sleep, that's certainly the case with my wife, who I really don't know how she managed to cope with the early years of each of our 3 kids.
No, it's with 3 as well. I mean, I struggle with 1. I mean, 3, that's a challenge.
Anyway, Amie, thanks so much for taking the time to join me on this week's podcast, and good luck with the job hunting.
Thank you very much for having me, and yes, thank you. The interviews do continue, so thank you.
If you want to read more of Amie's writing, go to findingourfeet.co.uk or follow her on Twitter at findingourfeet. If anyone's been affected by any of the issues in Amie's blog post, or if you're an employer who would like to find out more about this increasing issue and how you can support parents in the workplace, check out maternityaction.org.uk for more information about your rights. I'll attach blog and social media links on the show notes over on slouchingtowardsthatcham.com. Amie's post highlighted how many companies' antiquated attitudes often underestimate the value that mums can bring to them. So here's a post I wrote last year about knowing your own value in every aspect of your life. Do you know your own value? Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. This quote by professional speaker and social media strategist Ted Rubin works for me on a number of different levels. As an individual, a parent, and a blogger. As an individual, I wish I had taken heed of this in my younger years. I worried far too much about what other people thought of me. Parents, teachers, schoolmates, friends, and colleagues. It's such an easy trap to fall into, desperately wanting other people to recognise you academically, socially, and professionally, and trying to live up to their standards and expectations. I've never been a confident person, and it wasn't until I reached my 30s that I started to worry less about making other people happy, and the detrimental effect that was having on my confidence, and more about being happy myself. I'm still not particularly confident, but I care less about doing things just to please others now. It's a liberating feeling. As a parent, it's a lesson I hope I can teach my children as they grow up. There's so much pressure on kids to perform well at school and to maintain a 24/7 personal brand with their peers across social media that it's so easy to lose yourself behind the facade. I want my children to be happy and to grow up to be what they want to be, not what others think is best for them. Academics and friendships are important, of course, but they're not the be-all and end-all. If nothing else, if I can support them towards finding their own path, I'll have succeeded as a parent. Finally, as a blogger, I've experienced the pressure to do better, whatever that actually is. For some people, being a better blogger is about carving out an income, which means a ruthless focus on metrics such as page views, rankings such as TOTS 100 or Clout, and social media follows and likes, and to actively network in the right places with the right people. I'm not knocking that in any way, but it's not for everyone. Every month, I see fellow bloggers bemoaning the fact that their TOTS 100 ranking has dropped, or saying that blogging has stopped being fun because of all the promotional activity they have to do. But is all of this really that important for you, just because it's important to others? People blog for all manner of reasons. To earn money, as a form of therapy or self-expression, to become a better writer. The list goes on and on, not all of which define success in terms of numbers. If blogging makes you happy and proud in terms of whatever goals you set for yourself, shouldn't that be enough? Sadly, it can be all too easy to lose sight of the reason we started blogging in the first place. So what's the upshot of all this? Individual, parent or blogger, if you know what's important to you, then what other people think is largely secondary. If you're happy with yourself, then if other people don't value you, then that's their problem, not yours. And if you're happy with yourself, you're doing just fine. Easier said than done, of course. Looking at myself as a blogger, I'm in a happy place at the moment. I know I'm improving as a writer, which is what matters to me more than anything else. And I've grown in confidence, particularly over the last 12 to 18 months. This has spurred me on to try new things, just for the hell of it. I finally started working on a book, and I recently launched my own podcast. Both things that I've wanted to do for a long time. And do you know what? I'm loving every minute of it. I've been a lifelong American football fan, and I recently came across this quote from former New York Jets quarterback Joe Namath, one of US sport's great Playboy figures. Think George Best, crossed with James Hunt. He famously promised the Jets would win Super Bowl III despite being massive underdogs, and then delivered on that promise. When you have confidence, you can have a lot of fun, and when you have fun, you can do amazing things. As a motto for life, I think that's pretty good. Be confident in your own worth, enjoy life, and watch as incredible things happen. And that's it for this episode of the Slouching Towards Thatcham podcast. If you'd like to listen to either future or previous episodes, you'll find them published on the blog, and also on iTunes, YouTube, and various other podcasting sites. You can follow me on the blog at slouchingtowardsthatcham.com, on Twitter at ThatchamDad, and on various other social media channels. You'll find links to all of the above, plus Amie's links, in the show notes on the blog. All that remains is for me to say thank you all for listening to this podcast, and hopefully you'll join me again next week. Until then, goodbye.